Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. The Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we take the film Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and belittle it in front of the company, 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Muppert.
I'm Gerald Christopher, non-attending Porter.
And I'm Tasha Robinson, the film and TV editor at theverge.com.
Welcome back, Tasha. It's good to have you here.
I still don't know if I'm going to make it 2 whole minutes, but I'm back. I'm back and I'm having fun.
I bet you can. You've spent 1 minute in a Nazi castle, and so far you're doing awesome. You can get through this.
You know, if you've spent 1 minute in a Nazi castle, you've really spent all your minutes in a Nazi castle.
That's true. It seems like
philosophically
that
speaking.
Yeah. I think that was Sartre, wasn't it? I don't know.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Camus, one of those guys.
This is minute 52 that we're about to talk about. Minute 52 of Last Crusade begins with Henry revealing that he somehow has the mailing address for the Marx Brothers memorized. And it ends with Henry trying to tell Indy that Elsa, who's being held at gunpoint, is a Nazi.
And that line that it opens with, you kind of referenced this a little in the setup, but look, can we discuss this later? Indy says, and it's so much like, not in front of the guests.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we're being held at gunpoint, Dad. Don't do this right now.
You know what's great about that is it's presuming that there is a later.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's rather optimistic of them, considering the situation.
Can we have our usual family quarrel after we've escaped the Nazi castle?
Yeah. First I got to beat these guys up and take them by surprise.
Ooh. Then I got to sell out for a pretty girl.
Uh-huh.
And then profit.
Yeah. I'll pencil you in for 2. And we can talk about this.
Oh, I've got to think it too. Can we slide it to 4?
Oh, sure.
And which time zone? Because we're going to be traveling a lot.
That's true. We have to see where we are on the travel map at the time.
But yeah, given how much of this film is given over to family dynamics and family squabbling and bringing up old fights, the sense here that they've had a lot of these fights before, like, that they've just had a lot of squabbles before, and Indy's just kind of got I know we're going to have this out, but can we have this out in a less embarrassing way? Let's not stop fighting in front of the Nazis, Dad.
Well, what's interesting is again, I don't think his dad has any clue with what's about to happen, and I think Indy is ramping it up as a distraction, because I can't actually imagine any time Indy actually saying to his dad, hey, Dad, can we talk about this another time? Can we talk about this later? It's like, if anything, his dad says, count to 20 in Greek.
Yeah.
Which is, he's the one who tells him what time it is to talk about what.
Or he has been.
Indy should be like, oh my God, Dad, you want to talk to me? Let's talk. I want to talk. Thank you, Dad. This should be like the big breakthrough.
Hooray, my dad's mad at me.
At the same time, although, I mean, I can totally buy that Indiana Jones has enough of a sense of him, like his own rep, that he's a little embarrassed about being caught kind of metaphorically with his pants down in front of the Nazis.
Yeah.
Like, literally, this is literally Dad, you're embarrassing me.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of think it's great.
It's exactly like Willie in the shaman's house. You're
embarrassing
me in front of
You're belittling me and you're boring them.
And also they're Nazis.
And they're Nazis.
Well, I kind of love the Marx Brothers reference, both because of, like, as you say, like, I've been in touch with the Marx Brothers all the time. Why didn't I send them my diary? But also just this sense, like, given the timeline of when this is happening, like, vis-a-vis what's going on with Germany and the rise of the Nazis, the Marx Brothers' heyday is really over at this point. Mm-hmm. Like, they were still making films, and they would still make films through the 40s, but, like, their big time, that the time of their strongest fame was over, and they were kind of on the downhill slide. And the idea, I don't know. It just feels like Dad making a dated joke, like a dated reference. Like I should have.
Yeah.
God, Hedy Lamarr would have really loved this, like something like that.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are, Clark Grable?
Right. What are you, Arthur Fonzarelli?
he's slightly from a different era.
Yeah.
Well, I love the Marx Brothers reference because in the early 1930s, apparently Stalin was a huge Marx Brothers fan, and he invited the Marx Brothers to perform in the Soviet Union. And J. Edgar Hoover actually recruited Harpo Marx to smuggle some papers out of the Soviet Union on his way back from the tour.
Gosh.
So it's funny because if he had actually mailed it to the Marx Brothers, Harpo probably would have smuggled it right back into the castle like Indy did.
Wow.
Oh, that's hilarious. You don't think he would have just gone straight to Hoover? Like, you'll never guess what turned up this time. Honk, honk.
Yeah.
Honk, honk.
Baby Porkins shows up.
Well, I have a question for Pete and for you, Tasha, because I know your answers here, Tommy, but...
I'm going to check my phone. You guys talk.
Have you guys ever failed your dad like this?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Like, I mean, has there ever been a time where you've just straight up, like, there's only one thing you had to do, and you failed one of your parents like this?
Let me get this straight. Are you asking if I've ever accidentally betrayed my father to the Nazis by bringing his
that would be
secret notes on the Holy Grail
Yes.
to Nazi Germany? Yes, I have. Are you happy for bringing that up?
I didn't mean it that literally.
I don't know.
But
I think this is on a scale.
His dad is really can't believe this. He can't believe what he's witnessing, what just happened, that Indy actually returned to the castle with the Grail diary.
I've come to an age in life where anything this humiliating that I do just immediately erases itself in my brain. Like
That's a good place to be.
Yeah.
I spent way too many years of my life in that place where you do something embarrassing, you say something awkward, and then you just relive it forever. You lie awake at night thinking about it. It comes back to you at just random moments. Now, eventually you get to a place where you start losing words and you start forgetting things, and you're like, hey, I can bundle everything embarrassing I ever did and every way I ever let people down into all of those failing mental engrams. And so now I'm tabula rasa. I don't remember if I did something embarrassing yesterday. It's a pity that so much of what we do and say these days is being recorded in one way or another because people can prove it. I might let down my dad on this podcast and you'll have a record of it. But to be honest, can it be the Harpo? Can it be the Harpo honk honk? Because the one can do that really well.
There you go. Well, see, my dad, when I would let my dad down, he would do just like Henry, and he would embarrass me. Like I remember, like my sisters, he told me I always had to walk my sisters to school, and I have two younger sisters, and for some reason, like when I was in elementary school, that was just humiliating. Like I don't want my friends to see me walking with my two sisters. And so we'd leave the house and I'd take off running as soon as we got outside so I didn't have to walk with him, and I'd catch up to my friends. Yeah. And so my dad started in the morning, would come out wearing just like a pair of kind of yellowing Hanes briefs and a t-shirt and black socks and black shoes. And he would stand there with his arms crossed and just glare at us to make sure I walked with my sisters all the way down the block.
Just a minute. Peter, you forgot your brassiere.
That's exactly the stuff he would do. And it worked. Like I was so mortified by that stuff. Like I would never do it again.
You said a while ago on the show that you don't dress like your dad, and now I fully understand why. I don't want to see you sitting there in your black loafers and your yellowing boxers.
No, they were briefs. That was worse.
Oh God.
I got a C- in spelling, and that was true. And it was the sort of thing where it was like nobody gets a C- in spelling. I mean, spelling is supposed to be like a gimme. It's a layup. It's they give you the words on Monday for the test on Friday. And it was sort of like a teacher conference, and my dad had to come in, and it was one of those really uncomfortable, horrible moments, kind of a little bit like what Indy experiences here, where it's like I'm sitting there with the teacher, and it's like 5 after 3 and school is let out and all your friends are kind of gone and the day is concluded, and in comes my father, and he's dressed my dad's a lawyer, so he's dressed like in his full like attorney garb with like a suit and like a Brooks Brothers overcoat, and you're like, it was just worlds colliding. It's like, this is my teacher, what is my father doing here? It was just a horrible mashup of, and it's like he sort of, what does everybody call each other? Mr. Porter? Is it dad? Is it the teacher's name? Like, is he going to call her by her first name? And now we're discussing Jerry's performance. It's just, his lackluster performance and lack of discipline. That was one of those minutes where, and then there's the drive home in the car. No. Where it's just quiet and there's like slush on your shoes because it's raining and it's winter, and it's like, Jesus, I never wanted my father to meet my teacher. It's horrible.
And then he mowed everyone down with a machine gun.
It's all so vivid. It seems like it should be its own movie. Yeah. Like I can see all of this playing out with like Had a Bad Day like playing in the background, and the lights streaming, the key lights streaming through the rain on the. I can't come. You want to know if I'm humiliated? I've ever like failed my dad. I'm failing myself. I can't come up with a word for the thing on the front of the car. Good God, listen to me.
The hood ornament?
No.
The radiator grill? The grill?
Oh, let's play a game where you name every part of a car.
The bumper, the steering wheel, the
bullhorn.
Bullhorns.
The rain streaming down the windshield. That's all I was trying to say. The light streaming through, the rain streaming down the windshield. God, my dad could see me now. No, I mean, I can think of times that I did embarrassing things that failed my dad, and I don't think I have as much of a sense of humor as you do about it. I just, because they were all teenage times when I was being a stupid teenager. Yeah. But one of the things I like about this scene is just the feeling that Indy is feeling called on the carpet. Like, he's embarrassed and he's awkward, and he immediately channels it into anti-Nazi violence, which is how we should all treat our humiliations.
Yeah. Right. And even before that, even before it turns to violence, he goes to his dad absolutely has him. He was absolutely stupid to bring the diary back into a Nazi castle. And but he says, I came here to save you. Which is like the totally like, yes, I 100% screwed up, but in a related story, I did something kind of awesome. I just burst through this Nazi castle to save you, to rescue my dad. I got a whip, I got a hat. I'm doing some things right. Yes, I screwed that up, but I got some things going for me. You should be proud of me.
Did you even see the thing just now where I swung around on a whip in the rain like it was no thing?
Yeah.
Did you catch that?
Hitting me with a vase, but it was pretty awesome.
But there's a really fascinating question here. Indy's dad says, "Oh yeah, well, who's going to come to save you?" Mm-hmm. And the answer is Salah's kids.
Indy, come back.
Indy, is it? No, but actually, it is interesting because it's kind of left there hanging. It's punctuated by the fact that Indiana Jones saves himself.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
I mean,
it's punctuated even harder by the fact that he saves himself with murder, which I don't think this movie has any problem with, like the death of a bunch of like random unnamed Nazis. It's really interesting that Henry does. Like, Henry is horrified, and the camera actually lingers on him saying, I can't believe what you just did. Look what you just did. And yet the musical sting at the background is like, yay, we killed some Nazis. Everything's good.
It's like it's the first time we've heard the Raiders. We haven't heard the Raiders theme in a while.
The Raiders theme. Straight up dun-da-dun-da, dun-da-da.
Killed that guy, and he killed that guy.
Out the door.
But see, I think Henry's goading him on purpose. Like, I think he knows that, like, Indy's had a kind of a psychopathic rage problem his whole childhood, and he knows if he presses the right buttons, Indy's going to explode. And because I feel like that's why he escalates this. Like I was saying, it's kind of like a bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
but I
great.
feel like
So
Henry
you think
might
he
know what he's doing?
He says, when I call him Junior,
Right.
it's just going to
Yeah.
be bedlam. And
So
we're
this
going to
is-
get out of
He's
this
taunting him
castle.
and taunting him. Yeah, he's building and building and building.
It's just a Back to the
and then
Future
he
moment.
closes
he's
it.
he's
I was
calling
just
Michael
thinking
J.
that.
Fox chicken.
Yeah. I was like telling Tom that Quint started the fire on the Orca. Like he just goes berserk.
Slowly I turn. No, yeah, I badly want, like, based on this scene, you almost think that, like, yeah, anytime Henry calls him Junior for the rest of the movie, and he's just gonna Hulk out and kill somebody and just rip somebody's head off, go berserk. That's almost disappointing that doesn't happen, but it also makes more sense.
Can someone explain to me exactly what happens to the one Nazi who gets electrocuted? How does that work? Like, I know he gets shot,
Yeah.
and then
I
what
think
does he?
that's it.
Is he the
like,
guy at the end? The last guy?
Yeah, the last guy. Like, he gets shot, and then he kind
Well,
of
part of the guy's like flesh and guts come flying out too.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think he gets electrocuted. I think
like-
No,
the,
he's
like,
like, no, yeah, that.
I think
there's
the
a
light just
behind
catches
him
a
that gets
bullet.
shot.
there's a is. Oh, is that what it is? The light
Yeah.
behind him that gets shot?
And then it
Okay,
just
because he
explodes.
falls backward, and as he crashes,
Yeah.
like everything goes up in kind of like a Yahweh spark.
Right.
Yeah, like. But did you guys notice? There's like a beautiful lone rose petal that flies up in the air when that Nazi passes.
Oh, I thought that was the guy's like part of his flesh and guts flying out.
That was his aorta.
It's like, it's like
yeah, I
a
see
rose
that.
petal. It looks like it. Yeah, it
Glass
looks like
half
a rose.
full,
There's
glass half empty.
There's like one light pink rose petal that kind of
my
flies
mother.
off, and then
Make sure my mother gets this. Put it on
it's
her
like
bony finger.
liberated upon that guy's passing. I don't know if he's carried that with him his whole life.
But that brings up a very important question that I want to ask. Because this is an incredibly violent scene.
Yeah.
And like they linger kind of like it especially seems crazy because you see the three bodies just lying there. And, you know, even like a hardened soldier who would kill people, it doesn't usually kill three people face to face like this. And I wonder, does Indy ever feel remorse? Like, is he capable of feeling remorse? Because he's just kind of like,
Yeah.
kind of wipes his hands and he's like, took care of that.
It is.
Next.
It's hard to say because, like, yeah, this is played 100% for laughs. Like this killing of three guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're Nazis, they're disposable, whatever. It's that kind of movie. But it is weird. Like, yeah, there are no other times where, I mean, he shoots a guy in Cairo, and that's a joke. And you know, there's scenes kind of like that where you're like, you know, there's never time to think about what his reaction is to what he's doing.
It goes back to the guy with the sword
Yeah.
that he shoots, like in the first movie.
Right.
It's
That's
just
what I'm
like,
thinking of.
Yeah.
you know, human life, whatever. Hee hee.
Yeah.
But of all, I mean, it's interesting you choose this minute to bring that up because his father is just, blown away by what just transpired, and he says, you know, look what you did.
Yeah.
You know, and so Indy's dad truly has no idea what sort of life his son has been leading.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, is he saying just look what you did because he killed three people, or is he saying look what you did because he made a mess? See, I'm not
Aren't you
convinced
even
because
going
he
to
killed
clean
the
those
people.
Nazis up, son?
Yeah.
Come on.
That was the guy who brought me lunch every day.
It's dirty.
You know, there is
Billy.
that moment. There's that moment before this set of minutes where Henry looks at the vase and says, "Oh, it's a fake," and then like throws it aside in the corner.
Yeah.
And Indy like moves to stop him, and we think that it's because he's about to make a huge noise that might attract attention. But in the end, it's just Indy's like, "No, don't leave a mess." They're just both really, really anal retentive, and they're both appalled at
Harder to
each
clean
other.
up.
I can't believe you left that rose petal just lying there.
They clearly wanted us to have it.
Well, the dude packs his belongings like every morning.
Yeah.
It is.
Did you notice he's got a little sad bell on the desk?
Oh, he does. Awesome.
Well, I'd be amazed if he ever hit it. I mean, he seems like he's doing perfectly fine here. He's kind of, I mean, for a guy who's imprisoned in a Nazi castle, he's pretty sanguine,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all things
He's
considered.
pretty
Got
chipper.
his books and his Matchbox cars.
What is a sad bell?
Oh, every time someone gets sad on the show, we ring a little sad bell.
Yeah.
And there's a little. It looks like a little. I can't tell if it's a bell that he would ring for service, or if it's a little German army helmet paperweight.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
It could be either one.
Bing.
I was wondering what else is
Dynasty vase, but it's fake.
like. What else is on his desk? There's just like books, right? Is it just like books about the Grail and like Charlemagne this and that? Like Charlemagne quotes you may need.
Well, that's why I wonder: are the Nazis using him? Like, is he continuing his research?
Yeah.
And are they kind of using each other? Like, he's like, well, they're going to let me continue my research, and they're like, well, he's going to continue his research.
You would think they would. Like, why else would they take? This goes all the way back to Donovan's office, or his house, his apartment. Like, the Nazis have, like we were saying yesterday, they have Henry Jones. Why do they necessarily need his diary if he already has all this in his head and he can clearly recall it easily? So yeah, I would think that they would have him here. Maybe he's dragging his feet because he's not wanting to help the Nazis, but they probably have him working on stuff, trying to continue his research.
Yeah.
I mean, we already know from the what book business that he's not the world's best liar.
Right.
So I really would think that they would at least take the trouble to like punch him.
My pencil isn't sharpened. I can't do anything.
So wait a minute. So I know.
I need an office.
This is going to be a mess. But so he's sitting there with the diary in Germany or wherever. I guess in Venice, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's
because he said from Venice.
Yeah,
Indy said it came.
And
from
then
Venice.
he's kidnapped, and right before he's kidnapped, Indy's dad sends the diary obviously to his son, who's his estranged son. But they go to Indy's house looking for the diary, thinking he mailed it there.
No, they go to Indy's. That's when Indy's checking on his dad. It's his dad's house. They ransacked his dad's house.
No, I know they ransacked his dad's house, but. Oh. They knew that he had the Grail diary. Like, did they know that he had the Grail diary with him when he was in Venice? And then they go, "Hey, yo, where's that Grail diary that you work out of? If you're going to refuse to collaborate with us anymore, we know you've been working out of this Grail notebook." And then he goes, "Oh, I don't have it." And then they go, "Well, he must have mailed it back to his house."
Yeah, that whole thing is a little weird. You're right.
That's what I'm asking. Or it's like. Okay, who would he have mailed? I mean, who would he have mailed it to? And then like, well maybe we got to get his son on board because we need yucks and jokes.
Well, why didn't his dad write a note with the diary that would tell him why he was sending it, or maybe what he should do with it, or what he should not do with it?
Oh yeah, like I need to get this as far away as possible. Yeah. Don't let anybody else see it, or you really need to continue my research. I'm very close to discovering the tombs in
I suspect Nazis are working with Donovan. Like anything would have been helpful.
How about I slept with Elsa?
You would think that you would take time to tell that story.
Don't trust Donovan. I mean, if he was able to send the diary, why didn't he say, "Hey, look, don't trust the Donovan, the Nazis, the archaeologists, Elsa, the people I'm involved with on this adventure"?
Oh, I wasn't thinking that you were suggesting he should warn him. I was thinking he was just going to send a letter. "You will never believe it, but I got with a 21-year-old German hottie. Here is a picture."
Just a big postcard. Venice.
All is well. Here's a book. Stay where you are. I'll be fine.
I keep thinking I'm stupid, but you guys keep telling me, no, you're not stupid,
this time
Jerry.
You're not stupid.
Which is, it's really nice to be on this show. I'm with the right people. My people. They understand me.
So they run out of after he kills these guys, he runs around looking for Elsa, and I think he goes back to the room where he left her.
Yeah.
And he opens the door, and the script is funny. It says that Elsa's being held hostage. His name is Vogel, a vicious-looking lantern-jawed brute. And this guy seems absolutely nothing like that description in the script to me. But his name in German means bird. And if you turn the name into a verb, it's something that I think Jerry, the German version of Jerry, would say quite regularly. It's a pretty vulgar term.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, do tell, Peter.
I'll leave that for Doris.
Oh, didn't we used to talk about like, oh, I just birded in my pants or something like that?
I just
Oh, I got a bird.
we did. You said that was a euphemism, I guess.
Yeah.
There is a small degree that whenever they talk about the Fraulein, I just think of Frau Bücher from Young Frankenstein. It's just like I like the whole aesthetic here with the Nazi costumes and the silly accents.
Yeah.
It just feels so Young Frankenstein to me. roll in the hay. So yeah, this whole confrontation, that's what I keep thinking of.
Yeah.
I love that there's a very specific shot of Indy in the middle of this, shooter. She's a Nazi, and Elsa's acting is fantastic. She's got that quiver in her voice.
Yeah.
Indy. Yeah, that's great. It's really, she really sounds frightened.
Yeah.
And there's a shot of Indy where he screams out just to everybody and to no one. He goes, "What?" Like
Right.
he really doesn't know what to do, and he's anxious and kind of like super frustrated. He's like, "This should be easy. This should totally be easy right now."
Yeah.
What would you guys do here? I want to know. I don't know if I would shoot Elsa.
Well, it's weird. Like every
I
time
don't think I'd shoot Elsa.
No.
But I mean, if I was Henry, the first thing out of my mouth would be, "I know her. She's a spy," and not just. Everything's fine, son. I'm going to repeat myself, but not give you any new information. Like,
see, that's what's
everything
weird.
that happens in this scene it's kind of Henry's fault.
See, I have always thought that, but then watching it this time, just shake Indy, do something, like get him to listen to you. But like at the same time, when I'm watching it now, I'm like, he's actually saying everything that he can say almost. Like, don't trust her. She's a Nazi. Listen to me. He's not going to shoot her because she's a Nazi. They're both Nazis. But Indy is like, he literally does not even take his eyes off Elsa the entire scene. He's like not listening and just not getting it. And this all makes me think that what we've been saying about Indiana Jones and women all along is kind of accurate, that he's like 100% inexperienced. And that he just made out with this girl, and now he's going to marry her, he thinks. Like, this means that, like he kissed her, so she's pregnant, maybe, and, like, they're going to have babies, and they're going to get married. And, Dad, how am I going to shoot her? She's my wife. I love her, like... And so I don't think he's capable of Henry could have hit him over the head with another vase and it wouldn't have made any difference, I think.
That is, once again, though, it is all Henry's fault, because Henry should have been around when he was a kid to explain the birds and the bees to him and explain, you have not knocked up this lady. It's okay. If anything, son, I've knocked up this lady. Honestly, like, he could have just moved up the "she talks in her sleep" line, and hopefully, I mean, it's not so much, Indy would have gotten it, as maybe Indy would be a little less thinking that he's going to marry this woman, because that's Dad's girlfriend.
Yeah. Although, what if Dad had said, "Shave her, Indy"? Like, if I want her to be my daughter-in-law, like, would Indy be like, screw it, I'm shooting.
I think if Henry had yelled, "Shave her, Indy," the scene would have gone in a very different direction.
Yeah. Don't anybody Google that.
If he had moved up the "she talks in her sleep" line, that's all. Yeah, that would have been that. There goes doughy-eyed Indy.
Well, what would Indy have done if Vogel were holding Satipo or even Sala captive?
Oh,
would he have done the same thing, or would he have just gone ahead and shot him?
Well, Satipo. Well, I don't know. That's for a longer slumber party. We need that. That's a 3-day weekend slumber party with Satipo. Sala, I think there's no question he would have surrendered.
Yeah.
I think he would have surrendered or something. But I mean, really, Elsa does such an incredible job here that she really just pulls on Indy's heartstrings here. Yeah. Or, whatever strings you want to say. Yeah. And
misunderstanding strings.
There's misunderstanding strings. That's right. So he really is confused, and she plays this off beautifully. It's a little funny considering they've been together since 9:30 a.m. or whatever. Yeah. You know, or maybe it's been a day, maybe.
She did suck on his earlobe, Jerry.
Whoa.
You got to factor
Yeah,
that in.
that's true. It's all it took.
Well,
Yeah.
no wonder they're engaged.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
I think
put
one
that
of
on
the
the
interesting
announcement.
things in this exchange, though, is that like there's a moment on Henry's face of sort of horror when he sees the guy holding the gun on her, and then it immediately settles into this really smug smirk. And it kind of feels like the smug smirk is because he thinks he's going to say she's faking, she's a Nazi, and Indy's going to be like, oh, okay, and then shoot them both. Like he really thinks that Indy is going to listen to them and that he has them dead to rights in that moment. And he keeps that smirk throughout the rest of the scene where he's waiting for something to happen that is clearly not what happens. Possibly having seen that his son is now a brutal Nazi murderer. He's like, oh, well, she's about to get what's coming to her, and so is that guy. We're just going to Castle Wolfenstein our way out of here. And it doesn't happen.
Well, is this the first time Indy puts the woman before the treasure?
Oh.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Don't hit him.
I mean, I've been saying this for like 3 movies.
You've been saying
No,
the
we got
opposite.
like Grail before, no, tail before Grail. He's always doing that. Pleasure before treasure.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying treasure before pleasure. I thought you were saying it backwards. See, that's the problem with rhymes is they work both ways.
Marion Crane before material gain.
Well, this isn't the first time, I'll say that.
Well, because in Raiders, he was willing to throw Marion overboard to get the Ark. In Temple of Doom, he was willing, I guess he did kind of say Willie, but that didn't put his search for the stones in jeopardy.
Yeah. It is, maybe what we're all saying is it's a little weird. Like, what is with Elsa that has him so bedazzled that he's not listening to anything or seeing what's right in front of him? Maybe it is just the ear thing.
If we fought the ear
she gives
thing.
good ear.
She gives good ear.
He's discarded enough women in exchange for treasure in his day, and it's gotten him nowhere. Like he's finally changed his ways. He's like, all right, that whole pickup artist thing is not working so far, so we're going to try something new, which is putting down the gun,
right,
and prioritizing.
Maybe he made
the
that
woman.
decision like early on with Elsa. I mean, early on meaning like earlier that morning. Like this is the one. I'm never going to let some treasure get in the way of me and this lovely lady.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just because his dad is pushing him. His dad has just deliberately pushed his buttons.
Yeah, I was going to say,
like
if your dad, if you introduce like your new, significant other to your dad, and he's like, oh, that person is evil or a jerk or a Nazi or something, you're going to be like, oh, geez, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Or you're going to be like, shut up, Dad. I'm out of here. Jerk, you don't know. We're in love.
She's sweet.
She likes me for my mom's ears.
You wouldn't
What if the
Those swastika tattoos on her butt cheeks don't actually mean anything.
Well, what if those notes on Henry's desk were just Elsa and Henry forever? Elsa and Henry forever, like with the 4 written as a number.
The 4 is actually another swastika.
Yeah. We should mention Michael Byrne, who plays Vogel. He's one of those, I guess you could say this about any British actor, but he's been in a James Bond movie, and he's been in movies with Harrison Ford and Alec Guinness. So even though he's never been in Superman or Superman 2 or Star Wars, it's still pretty impressive. And he's good in this movie. He's a weird, creepy looking dude.
He's got that, it's that guy face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, though, he seems by far the least memorable of the movie villains from these movies.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
even know what you're talking about. Is this guy actually the official villain?
No, he's like I was going to say he's the Toad, but he's not Toad. I mean, there's no other Toad than Toad.
I mean, I guess Donovan is like
Donovan's the main bad guy.
villain.
But is it because Vogel has, I think, a bigger role than Donovan? Well, until we get to the end, but it's weird. He does it kind of goes out like Toad a little bit early.
He's the Dietrich sort of. Maybe he's more Dietrich. I'm sorry I brought it up.
The point is that he's the one in the room that Henry hasn't slept with. That's mostly what we needed to know.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That we know
that's true.
of.
You're right.
Yeah.
He's the one that doesn't talk in his sleep then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of talking, no, I'm not going there.
Oh my God.
This just in from Professor Christy
Making me
Porter.
nervous.
Please cut that out.
Turn it up.
Why is Henry Sr. so surprised about Indy killing Nazis, but he's so ruthless when it comes to killing Elsa? I mean, a Nazi's a Nazi, right?
Yeah.
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 Well, I don't think if he's saying, "Oh, you should shoot Elsa." I think he's saying, "Don't worry, that guy's not going to shoot Elsa. Don't give up your gun because she's not in danger."
There's that, but there's also the fact that she talks in her sleep. So she kept waking him up, and it was really annoying. So he's really down on her right now.
He's really cranky.
Yeah, he's
Just like, take that lady out, man. I could not get a good night's sleep last night.
Maybe that's why we see him in the castle the way he is. He's always fully dressed, and he's like got his bags ready.
What
it's
else
like
am I
he
gonna
can't
do?
sleep. Yeah, he just sits there for 24 hours. He's like, no, I'm not going to bed.
Well, see,
Do we know those aren't Elsa's socks drying by the fire?
Totally.
I mean, he was in bed, and then she woke him up, and he couldn't get back to sleep. So he went and packed his valise for the 47th time. Yeah, he does seem pretty smug about it. I mean, as I say, he's got the look on his face of, we figured this out. Now's where you kill everybody.
Yeah.
I do think it's just
This is how they break up.
it's just interesting to me that like when he says, "What did you do?" Like, I can't believe what you did. Like, he sounds really authentically pained, and it feels like it's from a completely different movie. Like a less, I don't know, mowing down Nazis oriented movie, a less comedic movie, but the music says otherwise. Like the music's like, look at this guy. He can't believe that his son murdered a bunch of people.
Nerd. Bookworm.
Oh, it's speaking of suck it, Tommy, suck it, Jerry.
Uh-oh.
This music is gorgeous. This is the beginning of one of my favorite pieces of music in this movie.
Wait, which?
Scherzo for motorcycle and orchestra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this piece right after he shoots the guys and they walk out of the room.
Kind of boop, boop,
they
boop,
play the little
that kind of thing. That kind of.
yeah, kind of.
All right. You did it perfectly. Spot on. Boop, 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 boop.
Yep.
Yeah, that sweeping, beautiful score.
But we'll get a little more of that when he gets on the motorcycle later. But I think it's one of the nicest pieces in any of these movies.
I will pay attention with an open mind.
Yes, I'd be happy to listen there.
And apparently we'll suck it too. I don't know. Hey, Tasha.
Yes.
Thank you again for coming back, and I hope you can come back tomorrow.
Oh, fine, but only so we can talk about Elsa's hair. I think right at the end of this scene where Vogel has his face all snuggled up into her hair, it's really weird. And then in the next minute, it goes to some weird hair places. Like we have to talk about the hair, guys. That's
a good tease
why
for
I'm
tomorrow.
here, right?
yes.
For hair talk.
Yeah.
This is Indiana Hair Minute, right?
Oh, yeah, sure. Sure, if you wanted to be. Why don't you remind the nice folks out there where they can find you?
Sure. I'm the film and TV editor at theverge.com. I write about film and TV there, and I edit other people who do. I'm on Twitter at Tasha Robinson, and I'm part of the Next Picture Show podcast, where every other week we take a movie that's in theaters right now and compare it with a movie from the past, usually one that inspired or interested the director, or one that takes up the same themes in a way that's interesting because of what the two films have to say about each other.
That's awesome. Do you ever find it hard to pair a movie, a current movie with an older one?
Like we went through a lot of suggestions. We pitched people online. We talked to our film friends about what to do with Black Panther, because we just could not find a good match for it. About the best suggestion we got was The Man Who Would Be King, based on Rudyard Kipling's story. Wow. But it's such a modern movie in terms of, following this very MCU pattern of films that we didn't have a decade ago. And then it's so concerned with representation and Afrofuturism and, with the Black struggle in ways that movies like from the past didn't talk about so much. So it feels really groundbreaking, and we could not find a movie that rhymed with it well.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Understandable.
I agree, because I really wanted to talk about that movie, and it's also just a mark of it's got to be a movie that people have heard of and that people can easily find streaming. So there have been other Afrofuturist movies made, but they're for the most part obscure and difficult to find, and don't have any of the same kind of super heroic sense to them. So I'm looking forward to 25 years from now when there are tons of Afrofuturist movies and tons of black superheroes, and we can pair one of them with Black Panther.
There you go. You got your work cut out for you.
All we have to do is keep the podcast going for 25 years.
Yeah. I'll give you a reason to stay on. That'll be cool. Hey, everybody. You should all please, while you're waiting for our next episode to show up tomorrow, you should please go over to iTunes and rate, review, and subscribe to the show. Subscribe so that we always show up nice and early in your feed. And rate us, give us some stars, and write a nice review. Right? Say, like, just, it doesn't have to be eloquent. It just has to be nice. Say, hey, these guys are awesome. I love the Indiana Jones Minute. But yeah, it's a nice thing to do, and it's easy to do, so just do it. And please come back tomorrow for minute 53 of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Tommy, you have a garden of examples of your dad being disappointed in you.
Yep. Yep. Yes, I do. I do.
But also a sense of humor about it. That's good.
I'll have to keep from crying.
I'm just crying.